this whole new venture would be to talk about things I personally really love. And those things are books. Books, 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 books. And I know, it's already middle of April and nobody really cares anymore, but I thought it would be kind of fun to show you all the books I read in March. I will tend to read a lot of books that I see recommended to me on TikTok as well as Goodreads. I am not opposed to picking up something I have never heard of from a bookstore. My all-time favorite genre is romance and fantasy, romantasy, whatever you want to call it. I will read anything, to be honest, if I feel like it. And I will also tend to read sort of like from month to month, varying how much and how many. I do have a challenge per year on my Goodreads, and I will link my socials for Goodreads if you would be friends and see each other's books and whatnot. But I don't have a challenge per month because that stresses me out, and I know a lot of people will read a lot of books per month, but me personally, I just want to enjoy my time reading. In March, this March, for example, I read six books, and the month before that I read like 3. So that's the introduction that I am a very random reader. But yeah, let me show you all the books I read in March. But first, a nice little cold Fanta lemon. For the year 2025, I have challenged myself to try reading outside of my comfort genres and try a few classics here and there. It's definitely been a roller coaster because English is technically my second language, and yes, I use it on a daily basis, but classics are written in a very specific and according to its year language, and that alone, it makes it a little bit harder sometimes for me to fully grasp what I'm reading. But I've decided to try with something a little bit easier. So the first book I read in March was a book I saw talked about a lot, especially against current political forecast situation, whatever you want to call it. And I saw this book being called one of the most banned books in the world, and I thought to myself, that's such an interesting concept. People in high school, especially my teachers and peers, were talking about this book, and I've never really picked it up myself. But this is Fahrenheit 451 by Red Bradbury. This can only be described as a dystopian fiction. If you have not heard of this book before, let me give you just a little bit, like the simplest of explanation of what this book is about. I feel like a lot of people do know what this book is about, but just in case if you didn't, this book follows the story of Guy Montag, our main protagonist, living in a dystopian future that is America. I think it's meant to be America. He is working as a firefighter, and the firefighters in the future do not combat fires, they do not save people, they burn books. They burn books for the living because it is considered illegal to own and read books. In this future that Bradbury has envisioned, people will spend all their free time watching TV, listening to music. They have these little devices called seashells that they almost like live with in their ears. I think it's meant to be like headphones. And one day, Guy Montag meets a very specific person, a little bit crazy girl named Claire. I think I'm mistaken. I don't think her name is Claire, but I remember there was a girl. And basically his whole view on life changes, and it is a very interesting read. It's a very interesting read that I don't see a lot of people combat. It talks about the freedom of thinking, the freedom of reading, how reading expands our point of views and our knowledge, and basically allows us to become better. And I think this book is very, very well written. I have to say that it's quite easy to read because it's quite thin. Honestly, I was very surprised how much fun I actually had with this book. But I would say that at the end it gets just a little bit boring, because I feel like it was action packed through this whole series, through this whole book, and suddenly by the end it just slowed down for me. That's why I gave this book a 4 out of 5. I thought that it is a book I would recommend everyone to read at least once in their life, because it does touches on very important subjects, and it's not big. It's honestly such a quick read. You can totally get it done in a day or two, a week if you want. And Ray Bradbury has a very interesting style of writing as well, so I would totally recommend it to anyone who would want to try something new and try a new genre. Book number 2 that I read in March was Hopeless by Elsie Silver. Hopeless is a book number 4 and the final book in her Chestnut Ridge series following the Eden brothers, or the Eden family altogether. If you like romance, if you are on TikTok, then you must definitely know this book series by now. That's how I learned about it. And I had such a good time with this series. I honestly was surprised how much I find myself enjoying a cowboy romance, because cowboys are not really my cup of tea. But I found myself enjoying the series as we got through more books. Book number 1 was okay, and the rest of them get better as you read. This is the last one, and it follows the brother named Bo and his struggle coming back from the army. And we follow a girl named Riley, I think it was her name. I could be wrong, but if you want to talk tropes, this is a fake dating trope. Type of romance. It was nice enough. I'll be absolutely honest. I thought I would have more fun considering how much Bo's storyline was progressing through the other couple's books. And I was very interested to see and read about his struggles coming back from the army. But I found myself a little bit okay. I gave this book a 3 out of 5 because it wasn't bad. It wasn't amazing. Elsie Silver has such a fun way of writing these romances because they're both romantic, they're both smutty. They also tackle a lot of real life issues in them, which I find super interesting. I love the little family drama going on in them. And it's very interesting because I don't necessarily love when my romances get a little bit too plushy and soft, if that makes sense. I love a little bit of a hard edge to them. Nowhere near dark romance, if you know what I mean. I'm talking like real life issues, real life topics, and real life scenarios. There's nothing real life about this series, but it's very nicely written. Book number 3. is Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. I had a lot of fun reading this book because I personally have read only one book by R.F. Kuang before this one, and it was Puppy War. And Puppy War was very well written, but it left me scarred because it does tackle a very graphic part of war, and I found myself too intimidated by the further books in this series, so I gave up on it. So I was very excited to pick up another book, and I read that it's supposed to be a little bit like a dark comedy, and it was very fun. It was very fun. I will give you a quick rundown that this book is about a girl named Juniper, everyone calls her Junie, and she is an aspiring author, and she struggles a little bit because the publishing world is a wicked place, and she also has a best friend, a young aspiring author like herself named Athena. Athena is Chinese American, and she is very successful. Her stories always tackle important subjects about race, being Chinese American, about Chinese culture, upbringing, and she's very popular. Like, she is the it girl of the publishing world. And these two are friends from school. They hang out from time to time until one evening, as they're hanging out, Athena freaking dies right in front of Junie. And as the paramedics are wheeling her away from Athena's apartment and Junie is watching it, she does the unthinkable, the one thing that made me want to slap Junie so badly, because she's the main character. She steals the unseen finished manuscript of the new book that Athena has written, and she does the unthinkable, and she steals it for herself. As the story progresses, you just want to go and just tell Junie to just chill out and drop this idea, but she doesn't. She just keeps taking herself further and further, and it's kind of fun, I'm not gonna lie. I found myself at such a disarray of wanting to strangle her and tell her, girl, you're better than this, just drop this stupid ass idea and just don't do it. But I also like cheering her on because you don't want her to get caught, because you know that would be the worst situation to be in. And this book does tackle important topics like race, culture appropriation. I found myself learning a lot of new things I never really thought to consider and put into perspective. Yeah, it was a very fun book, and it's such dark humor too. I was quite surprised because R.F. Kuang never really picked me as a funny writer, maybe because Puppy War is not necessarily anything funny about it, but it made me laugh a couple of times. So I gave this book a 4 out of 5. Book number 4. Book number 4 is Deep End by Ali Hazelwood. If, again, you are on TikTok, if you're on a book side of TikTok and you are aware of the romance genre, then you're aware of Ali Hazelwood. You know that she is the it girl of the publishing world. She has written so many books at this point. I think this is her 6th or 7th book, I could be wrong, and there's many more coming from what I've seen recently. This book was advertised as a little bit more spicier, a little bit more interesting in the smut genre, and I picked it up because I have a love-hate relationship with Ali Hazelwood. I will either love her book or hate it. Like, I have all the books she has published so far, and so far it literally has always been love or hate it, because what she tends to do in her writing and her creative process is that all her male and female characters through the series are exactly the same. Quirky. Girls are always quirky, smart, belong in STEM. But you know, there's nothing wrong with that. And men are always shy, pretty, and tall, dark, and handsome. I found this book to be okay. Just okay. I was promised a lot of smut. It's such a weird thing to like fixate on, but this book was literally advertised as like the smuttier of her books, and it wasn't. I would say it was quite mild. It did tackle a different type of smut, but I just thought it to be okay, and a bit like they were trying to make it edgy for the purpose of advertisement. This book follows a girl named Scarlett. She is at Stanford University. She's a member of the diving team, and she is struggling a lot because she went through a very, very scary injury in her career as a diver, and she basically has a blockage. She just can't get through it, and we are watching as she's trying to get through it in this book. The main love interest, his name is Lucas, and he's Swedish, and he's a swimmer, and he is also part of this Stanford University. I don't know, this book was just okay. Again, the same characters, same sort of like setup. A lot of people had a problem with the fact that beginning of the story, Lucas is technically already in a relationship with Scarlett's best friend, and I totally see that and I totally agree with it, but honestly the book was just okay. It was nice enough, but it makes me very indifferent about the characters or the future potential spin-offs. Now, this book. This book called Long Live Evil by Sarah Brennan. I don't know why I found it so hard to read. This book was such a breath of fresh air. Like, it honestly made me so happy to read it, and I was so happy that I picked it up. I actually picked it up a while ago. I picked it up all the way beginning of the year from my local Big W because I saw it. I thought the cover looked really, really fun and really edgy. And I saw that Lee Bardugo was actually recommending it at the front, and I thought to myself, why not? This book is a little bit different from your usual romantasy. It's a romantasy, but it's a little bit different, and I think that's what really picked me and like it really stuck with me as I was reading it. How do I even describe it? So as a young adult, there's no like a huge heartbreaking romance, but the romance in it is just enough to keep you titillated and like want to keep going. But let me tell you exactly what is it about, okay? So, in this book we follow the main character, Ray, who is living in a mortal real world like you and me are living right now. And what you need to know is that Ray is dying of cancer. I find it very informative because the author herself was actually going through cancer, and she wrote the book based on herself and her experience. Ray is dying of cancer, and as she's sitting at the hospital going through the treatment, she and her sister Alice sit together and read books together. They read a book called, I think it was called The Time of Iron. And they love it. It helps Ray through all her trouble, and she finds it very comforting until one night, there's like a stranger sitting next to her hospital bed telling her, I will let you live. I will cure you if you can go into this book that you're reading and retrieve some sort of flower. I forgot what flower it was. And that's the only part in this whole book that made me kind of roll my eyes, because in this scene, Ray literally just did not, I think she spent the whole of a page considering who is this random woman telling me that I can go into a book and save myself. But if you can just get over that, and if you can also get over the very millennial type of humor in it, the book was very fun. I was so into it. It does get a little bit to get into, like, I think you need to get a couple of chapters to like fully grasp it, how fun it is, but honestly, right up until this point where the action hits, this is the end, I could not stop reading it. I was so engulfed. fun characters, fun writing, really fun concept, and I really wish more books like this were published today, because I feel like the current publishing world is a bit oversaturated with mediocre and like semi-okay books that people know will buy because they would go viral on TikTok. This book is not viral at all. I wish it was. It's really fun. And I'll really recommend it to everyone. I gave it a 4 out of 5 because it was really good, and I can't wait for the next book because it was so good. Last book that I read in March was Iron and Embers by Helen Shore. God, this book is so big, I have to pull it back all the way so you can see. This book was really fun. I don't know how much I can tell you about it because this book follows 2 characters that we have met in their previous book series called Blood and Steel. That book series was beautifully written. I loved it. For an indie author that published through Amazon, that was a really good book series that got me through last year because I couldn't find anything interesting to read. I picked it up because it was on Kindle Unlimited and I loved every second of it. Helen Shore became popular enough that they decided to publish this spin-off through traditional publishing, and I was super proud of her because I understand it is very difficult for indie authors to make it out there to traditional publishing. Unfortunately, I was having such high hopes for this book because again we're following 2 characters that I really found super fun in the original book series, that I found myself a bit thirsty for more from this one, if that makes sense. I don't want to tell you too much because it does spoil the event from the first book series if you would want to read it, but let me tell you to the best of my abilities what it's about. In this book we follow a character named Ren. She's an alchemist and she's going to an alchemist academy to learn all the secrets of the alchemy in Thesmar. She needs to go to the academy and she's gifted a guard to protect her. Now I'm gonna spell that name for you because I have no idea how to pronounce it. His name is T-O-R-J. T-O-R-J. I pronounce it so many different ways in my head. I've pronounced it Torque. I've pronounced it Thor. I've pronounced it Torch. It's a funny story because I even commented on Helen Shore's picture once on Instagram asking her how do you pronounce his name because I saw he's going to get his own book, and asked her like how would you pronounce his name, and she just said whatever works for you, there's no set one. And I was like, so what is it? This book was just okay. Unfortunately for me, I found it to be a bit cliche. And that's the worst thing that can happen to the book because instead of seeing a story, I was seeing a list of tropes and checklist of them being clicked off. And I understand that people like tropes. I understand people love to buy books based on them. But if your book is more tropes than storyline, for me, I can feel myself getting bored and a bit disinterested in the future. This is not to say that it was necessarily bad, but it is a bit underwhelming considering how much I loved Blood and Steel. So, I don't know, I gave this book unfortunately a 2.5 out of 5. I rarely go so low for my books, but because I loved the Blood and Steel, I was giving it 5 4s across the whole series. That this just felt very underdeveloped in a lot of ways and just not for me. I don't know if I'll be picking up the next book in the series. I saw it's coming out very soon and I don't know, I'm very biased. At the moment, yeah, 2.5 out of 5. sadly. Alrighty, I managed to do it. There's a lot of noises today because it's Easter and my neighbors are home, obviously, so hopefully that did not bother you too much. If you made it all the way here, I am so thankful because this is such a fun activity for me, and if it brings someone joy and allows them to feel a little bit less lonely, that's awesome. And I would like for you to comment a book emoji, or honestly anything at this point, to let me know that you watched it until the end. But yeah, whatever. I will let you go now, and you have a lovely day, and rest and take care of yourself. And I'm just gonna go and take care of myself too. All my books just fell over.